Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi-ho, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. The 800-Pound Gorilla website, a fantastic website, asked Nick Swardson, "Hey, Nick Swardson, how long do you spend between your hours?" Nick said, "The new one I wrote pretty quick. It was pretty surprising. I couldn't believe it. It came out really fast. I'm already chipping away at a new one. I think I have maybe 10 minutes. I try to write as much as I can. I always try to tell young comedians that. They go, 'What advice do you have?' Write nonstop. Even if the joke doesn't make sense now, 10 years from now, you put it in your notebook or on your phone and you'll figure out how to crack a joke. That's happened to me several times." The gorilla said it's amazing how people work at different rates, like Jim Gaffigan has a new hour every year. Swardson said, "I know, it's super annoying. I love Gaffigan. He's an old friend of mine. I'm just saying it puts so much pressure. Like, I've got to churn out another one. Gaffigan's a machine. Guys like him, Brian Regan, Louis C.K., Sebastian, they keep dropping it. Look at somebody like Chris Rock. Chris Rock's been doing it 40 years, and what does he have? 4 specials, maybe 5 in 40 years. Gaffigan's been doing it as long as I have. He has, 10? It's amazing. I applaud them. I'm a fan of all of them." I asked David Spade, "Why don't you have more specials?" And he was like, "Because you burn that material. I'd rather just tour it for as long as I can because it's so hard to write a new hour." Vogue interviewed Nikki Glaser. No, when you interview Nikki Glaser, what do you ask her about? Taylor Swift. Nikki, other than meeting Taylor Swift backstage, have you spent much time with her in person? Nikki said, "We had an interaction on Instagram that you're probably familiar with, where I apologized for talking out of line, and then she wrote a comment back, but nothing since that." Nikki, how many concerts have you been to? The final number, unless she adds more shows, will be 22. Right now it's 17, so I have 5 more to go, and I'm so excited. I feel like she's the Beatles in terms of a once-in-a-lifetime performer, artist, and songwriter talent. I'd have liked to see the Beatles live, so I just need to capitalize on this while I can. And it's the most fun thing I've ever done. Initially, when she announced the tour, I wanted to go to as many as possible, but I was kind of embarrassed by how much I like her. I've been mocked for it by my family and friends, and I'll add, people recording a podcast in their basement. My boyfriend was the one who actually said, "I've never seen you happier than when you're at these Taylor Swift sing-alongs." I've been going to a few of the Taylor Swift nights at different clubs and music venues when they just play Taylor Swift and you dance and sing with everyone, and I've done some Taylor Swift Day parties on Zoom. He said, "You should go to every show you possibly can." I'm almost slipping into triumph here for some reason. I might look ridiculous and people can make fun of me, but I honestly think anyone who's making fun of Swifties is jealous that they don't like something that much. I really think that's at the heart of it. Like they're too cool to let themselves like something that much, and they're not even capable of it. I do think it's a special kind of personality that I have that leads me to be obsessed with things this much. But I'm so happy that I have that personality. It's brought me so much joy. I make the joke that being a Swiftie has brought me so much joy as being an aunt. It's probably brought me more joy, to be honest with you. Your niece is going to love this article in about 10 years. I'm not going to have kids, and this just felt like the right time to spend thousands of dollars on something I love. When all my friends were spending thousands of dollars on fertility treatments and kids, I was like, let's do something fun with it. I'm always impressed by how on point Taylor Swift is and how she can just nail everything. Listen to this. I'm always impressed by how on point she is and how she can just nail everything. I really find similarities between how I do my act sometimes and how she does her thing. I'll have a joke written, and I like to make it fun for myself and to change it up for myself, but you still get the essence of what it is. So yes, I see differences in Taylor's shows, and it's been well documented, but her dancing has just become more free. She's become more comfortable within the steps that she's learned and memorized. I've seen the comfort level grow. There seems to be more ease with her performing, and I respect how much fun she's having every time. I've really never been able to sense any kind of performativeness that makes me think maybe she's hiding something. I don't think you've ever seen her pretend to root for a touchdown. Talk about performative. Jeez. People always ask how the concerts are different, and I'm like, they're really not. She's always 10 out of 10 perfect. With the things she says in between songs, you can tell when she likes a crowd more than another crowd. Boy, I'm going to hear from the Swifties. Now, you don't want to make fun of Taylor Swift. I mean, one time, Joe Coy was hosting the Golden Globes, and he made a Taylor Swift joke. Here, let's listen.
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift.
Whew, that did not go over well. That joke was so poorly received that Scott Becker right now is banging his dashboard because I brought up the Taylor Swift recurring joke. Hi, Scott. Phil Wang spoke to the Indy 100 and said, "I would not be a comedian if I wasn't mixed heritage." Of his new special, he says, "It's the trifecta of my material, Asianness, food, and some kind of smut." When I got into comedy at 17, 18, when I first did stand-up, for me, it was a way of dealing with my alienness, of owning it, of putting it front and center in front of everyone. in front of this new country I was trying to assimilate into. Without that point of difference, I felt like if I fitted in, I felt like I was just like most other people. I don't think I would have done that. So I think my heritage is central to me being a comedian. I think it's why I am a comedian. Hasan Minhaj had that big profile in Esquire. His new special is out on October 22nd. He tells a story of when he started performing stand-up 20 years ago. He wouldn't get home until late at night. His parents thought he was on drugs or dealing drugs or both. His dad said, "I don't think you're pursuing a career in comedy." Hasan said, "I wish I was cool enough to be dealing drugs. I was actually performing at a bar in front of 8 people. They discussed his YouTube rebuttal to all the back and forth about his previous special. Hasan explains why he made the choice. In the first draft, which he wrote to convey how scary the incident was, his comedian friends thought that his wife came across as a nag. When the envelope with the white powder arrived at their home, Biddy became upset about what might have happened and expressed her fear that her husband's career had put the family in danger. By altering the anecdote to have the white powder land on their daughter, he was able to convey faster and more sharply how the consequences of his career choices had suddenly become very real. Plus, Minhaj, not his wife, was now the butt of the joke. He says, "It was a shortcoming on my part. I could have made the exposition better. I didn't need to pull in my daughter. That's the one thing where I'm looking back at it and like, you could have changed that, but kept it the way it was. Our daughter was right there. And we had this full-on thing. Write the scene, keep tweaking it. That's the toughest thing about being a performer, is that everyone has a character in your life. I have to balance that they have to win, and I have to lose. You never get it right, you know?" Taylor Tomlinson was recently in Portland at Helium. She posted a video celebrating this girl on National Daughters Day. In the clip, she's talking with a member of the audience who says, "My dad's a bong." Tomlinson's like, "Your dad's a what?" "Oh, your dad's ashes are in a bong." The audience member says, "No. They're made into a bong." Tomlinson says, "God, we're in Portland right now. If you'd put me in this room right now and we're like, we won't tell you. If you'd put a sack over my head, put me in a big suitcase, driven me around for 3 days, put me on the stage and been like, guess where you are? And I heard they turned my dad's ashes into a bong," I'd be like, Portland, Oregon. Molly Kearney, who's no longer on Saturday Night Live, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, is turning 50 this year, and we are going to talk about SNL every day for the next 9 months, including this sentence. Molly is joining that sitcom DMV. That's the one that stars Tim Meadows. DMV is a workplace comedy set at the place everyone dreads going most. The DMV are quirky and lovable characters at making minimum wage, doing a thankless job where customers are annoyed before they even walk in the door. Good thing they have each other. Kearney will play Barbara, the boss, who considers herself one of the gang, even though the gang does not. Barbara is a glass-half-full oversharer who's incredibly inappropriate and terrible at reading a room. So she's Michelle Scott from The Office. Barbara cares deeply and tries very hard, but misses the mark. So she's Michelle Scott from The Office. Tim Meadows plays a driving examiner. JB Smoove is getting a game show. Apparently, Prime Video is all about the game shows. They've already announced Pop Culture Jeopardy with Colin Jost, who's on Saturday Night Live, which I don't know if you know, is turning 50, and we're going to talk about it every day for 9 months. And Wishlist Games with Nick Cannon. The JB Smoove one is called Buy It Now. It's a business competition where entrepreneurs get 90 seconds to pitch their product to an audience of potential customers. They're called the 100. If the 100 like the product and price, then the entrepreneurs get to a panel of Amazon executives and celebrity entrepreneurs. The panel selects which products join Amazon's exclusive Buy It Now store and award one entrepreneur $20,000. Whoa, Jeff Bezos, way to open up the wallet there. $20,000? Whew, big spender. 20 grand. Al Roker was on Instagram and he announced his comedy crush. It's Kate McKinnon, who was on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you know this. SNL's turning 50. We're going to talk about it every day for the next 9 months. In the picture, Al Roker is smiling at Kate McKinnon, seemingly listening to her as she spoke to him during a break. He captioned the post, "I adore Kate McKinnon. She is my hashtag comedy crush, one word. Her inventive goofiness and goodness shines through and is genuinely nice." Here's an idea you didn't think was going to happen, and maybe it's not a terrible idea. The UK is thinking of doing their own version of Cheers. You may recall Cheers. Ted Danson played Sam Malone. Now, some of you were like, yeah, we know what Cheers is. And then some people are like, I was born in 2004. I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, so Cheers was a sitcom in a bar. It ran for 11 seasons and 275 episodes on NBC. See, back in the 20th century, they made more than 6 episodes of things. I mean, 275 episodes on something on Netflix would have to run, what, 30 years? Kelsey Grammer was on this show, Cheers. He played a character named Frasier. You may have heard of him. A quick overview of some shows that have crossed the pond, as they call it. You may have heard of The Office. Yes, that was a British show originally. Ghosts was a British show. Heading the other way, they tried to make a British version of the Golden Girls called the Brighton Bells. Didn't work. The 70s show called Days Like These. Didn't work. And Married with Children, called Married for Life. Didn't work. One of the suits over there said the British pub is an endangered species, so there's an answer for the why now about it. The attitudes of Cheers in the 80s are very different to the attitudes of today, so there's a massive amount of work to be done around taking inspiration from the original characters, but creating something fresh. The daughter of one of Australia's most famous comedians claims her stand-up gig was cancelled because she makes jokes about trans people. Biddy O'Loughlin was due to perform at the Crinker Comedy Show on October 15th in Adelaide. Biddy's mother is the famous comedian Fiona O'Loughlin. Biddy has been kicked off the lineup following a complaint made by a pub staff member. Biddy told the Advertiser, "I know some of the bartenders see me as a TERF, that's a trans exclusionary radical feminist, but I don't consider myself a feminist." Biddy's Instagram involves clips of her making jokes about trans women, along with photos of her in a red cap with the slogan, "Make Women Female Again," giving off some Trump vibes there. She captioned one photo, "Fighting for you ladies and for your daughters." She continued, "Even if you don't think it's an issue and you want to call me a hateful bigot, I'll take the hit. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and men are not women. They call me the J.K. Rowling of the Adelaide comedy scene." Put that on a poster, which is weird because I've never written a book. She also shared a clip from one of her stand-up gigs where she responded to a heckler. Biddy said, "I saw a trans comedian once and he was so bad that I thought for a second he might actually be female inside." All right, let's wash that off with this from the Toronto Sun. Comedian Ben McKay, a rising star in the comedy scene, blends lighthearted fun and punchline-heavy humor with personal stories and spontaneous moments. So again, to recap here, and the Toronto Sun's done this before, he is a comedian who blends stories, spontaneous moments, and punchlines. Innovative. He's influenced by Sean Mulaney, Gary Goldman, Hannibal Buress. How would you describe your comedy series, Ben McKay? Ben says, "I'd like to think my comedy is lighthearted and fun, yet precisely written and punchline-heavy. Plus, I get distracted easily, so there's lots of in-the-moment stuff as well." John Mulaney has probably been my biggest comedic influence. He was the first comedian I really identified with. Beyond that, I'd say Gary Goldman and Hannibal Buress were also influential to me early on. Growing up, Mulaney was always my favorite. Wow. Imagine growing up to Mulaney. I'm so old. Like, Mulaney's new to me. He's like new wave to me. Wow, I'm old. But when I was young, I just fell in love with stand-up in general. I'd take any opportunity to see stand-up, so I was always watching Comedy Now specials, Just for Laugh galas, and anything I could get my hands on. Who are you into these days? Some Canadians. Alex Wood, Andrew Barr, Nigel Grinstead, Adam Christie, and Jarrett Campbell. They're all fantastic, and I feel fortunate to get to work with them. I've also discovered a lot of American comedians that I really like from the Don't Tell comedy tapings on YouTube. We're hearing only great things about Don't Tell comedy. I might have to get out to one of those shows, but then I would have to leave the house. And that's your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too if you would like the program without commercial interruption. Check the link in the show notes. It'll tell you how that works. $4.99 is the short version. All right, see you tomorrow.